City's orthopedic specialist local sports update, brought to you by Hurricanes Grill and Wings. Tonight, the Orlando Magic get back on home court hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves for a 7 o'clock tip-off. Both teams are coming off wins, with the Magic sitting at 13-5 at home. Orlando is 6th in the Eastern Conference and the Timberwolves 3rd in the Western Conference. During practice this week, Orlando's head coach Jamal Mosley spoke on what they have focused on these past few days ahead of the game.
I mean, just touching up on the things that, we had done these past couple games, the proper spacing defensively, the two games that we're going to see coming up, who they have on their team and understanding how we need to guard them. But just, again, being in the gym, getting a lot of shots up, the chemistry and the camaraderie of guys getting back together on the floor.
The Magic and the Timberwolves in Orlando tonight, tip-off at 7. It's 46 degrees at 12 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dawes.
Hey, hey. This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
No Taylor Doll today and tomorrow, but she'll be back with us on Monday. Some much-needed vacation here in the beginning of January. Mia O'Brien is here, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks, and we just met with Trevor Lawrence. And look, Mia, we say this all the time. The Jaguars are so lucky to have such a well-grounded, just a great human being that is Trevor Lawrence, the franchise quarterback. He says all the right things, but it's not just that he says it. I believe he really means it all. Like, he is here to try and win a Super Bowl, but he's also such a nice guy, too.
More than being a nice guy, we're here to talk X's and O's. He is a great guy, yes, Lauren. But I think that Trevor knows his own shortcomings. He knows where he has failed. He knows where he has succeeded. He believes in himself, yes. But I think the fact that he is fully transparent and would be the first one to tell you that for someone who, right or wrong, earned the moniker of the prince that was promised prior to ever stepping on a NFL football field, that is quite a heavy crown and quite a heavy lift. Perhaps unfair, sure, but he would tell you, even if he had won 2 MVP awards at this time, that he hasn't done enough because the team hasn't won enough. And so that's what I most appreciate about Trevor and what I appreciated most about his availability this morning.
I appreciate that he's a husband and now a father, and I think he's someone that looks every media member in the eyes when they ask a question, and he understands that life is bigger than just the game of football. But, oh, yeah, when it comes to football, he said he wants a young offensive mind that he can grow with. He's biased. He's a quarterback. Certainly, he plays on the offensive side of the ball. But I thought that spoke volumes. Shad, are you listening to what Trevor Lawrence wants? He wants a young offensive mind, and hopefully that's what he gets.
And the fact that he was very forthright in noting that, Lauren, the fact that, I brought to his attention the comments from Shad Khan about this is not going to be Aaron Rodgers 2.0 on Monday during that availability. And he said, look, I'm here to win games. I'm here to do what they ask me to do. Do I need a seat at the table? No, but I do believe I have opinions. I do believe
they value his opinions.
And they value his opinion, but also that he has formulated opinions. He's been here 4 years. He has seen the rise, the fall, and everything in between. And that says to me that there have been conversations, but it also says to me it's not his call, obviously.
Nor should it be ultimately his call.
Right, but at the same time, it says that, if Shad wants to pick up the phone, Trevor's busy. Yes, he has a 5-day-old daughter, but at the same time, he would be more than happy to speak to him if those opinions needed to be addressed.
Yeah, I would have loved to know what's more difficult, playing quarterback in the NFL or changing a diaper with one hand, since he does still have that sling on for the next 3 weeks. It's got to be a complicated thing to be able to try and change a diaper with one hand when you've probably not changed a lot of diapers previously, but I'm sure they're making it work. Look, I also found it interesting that Trevor talked about how he saw the news that Doug Peterson was fired.
Yep.
That means to me that Shad didn't call Trevor ahead of time or text him ahead of time and say, this is what I've decided. I'm retaining Trent. I'm firing Doug. And what are your thoughts? Or just FYI, this is happening. It seems like that conversation did not occur.
Right. And again, let's go back to what we love about Trevor is the full transparency.
Mm-hmm.
He would tell you, if I had to guess, if you brought that to his attention, he would say, well, I'm just like any other player. Yes, I play quarterback, but if he didn't alert any other player, then, I'm here to win football games. I'm here to do what is asked to be done on Sundays and during the week and to win football games. No special treatment required. Now, to us, if you've invested $275 million in someone, you may want to consult them or at least let them know. But at the same time, I think that Trevor would continue to, and again, because he says all the right things, he would push back and say that's the owner's decision. From what we gathered from Monday's availability, Lauren, it sounds like there was a team meeting of some sort that Doug Peterson was a part of. He did address the team after being let go. And obviously Trevor was not in the building because he was just getting home from the hospital at that point. And so, therefore, that's why I would say.
Maybe they FaceTimed him in with technology these days.
Hey, listen, we zoomed shot in from Illinois, so anything's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so the Jaguars, as far as the head coaching tracker, it was at 8 names on Monday. It is now expanded to 10 names as the Jaguars added Brian Flores and then also Steve Spagnuolo to their list. Contrary to what we just said Trevor wants as far as an offensive mind, a young offensive mind, both of those guys, as we know, are more defensive coaches. Brian Flores has obviously been a head coach in the NFL before. Steve Spagnuolo is the defensive coordinator of the Chiefs. We've had Steve Spagnuolo on 1010XL as he joined Dan Hicken right around the Tom Coughlin J Fund time. Steve and Tom Coughlin have a great relationship. I'll be surprised if the Jaguars go, I'll just lay it out right now. I'll be surprised if it's not either Ben Johnson or a former head coach. If it's someone else, and it very may well be, and I have no inside information on that, but my gut is they are vying for Ben Johnson, or at least maybe that's because that's what a lot of us want, or it's going to be someone who has head coaching experience because now they have so many guys on this list that have coached in the NFL before.
I would also go back to what Mark Ross of the NFL Network, who kindly joined us on Tuesday, noted, which is 85% of most requests are solely for information. Steve Spagnuolo has coached a pretty darn good defense, has he not, for the last decade or so with Andy Reid out in Kansas City. And so I think that that's a part of it. I do think that there is also a sense of, hey, he's been around the league for a couple decades. He probably has seen these offenses of some of these young offensive-minded play callers. He probably has friends who have worked with those young names. And so, while, yes, I'd love to think that he's actually a candidate for the position and is getting a fair shake at it, I also tend to look at this as to vet those young offensive-minded candidates. Because as you said, Lauren, off the top of the show, Trevor opened the conversation, opened up the can of worms of he would love to grow with a young offensive-minded play caller and head coach. And Steve Spagnuolo has coached against many of them and probably has some sort of tie to many of them.
So as far as, like you mentioned, we've talked to Mark Ross. We've also talked to Mike Silver. We talked with him yesterday. Today we'll talk to Shireen Williams of Pro Football Talk at 1 o'clock and then Mike Sando at 1:30. So we continue to look around this NFL landscape to try and understand what's being said in NFL circles, what people who certainly have known Trent Baalke for a long time may think. We'll also chat with people who are very close to, over the next few weeks, very close to some of these candidates. So that list also keeps expanding as the Jags keep adding people.
And that's what I think is interesting. Like, as of now, the Jags, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lauren, the Jags are the only organization, which is a first in the 6+ years I've been here, that they actually lined up. Here is the list of candidates we've requested. And every time they've requested a candidate, they have sent out a tweet. They have sent out a press release, well, not a press release, but like, a graphic or something to say we have now requested insert name here. That transparency, kudos to whoever is calling the shots at the Miller Electric Center for that, because it's greatly appreciated comparatively to the 2022 search. Additionally,
and by the way, it's not sponsored, so it's not like they sold this and said we have to put these out.
Nope, exactly. So shout out to them for the transparency. I mean, personally, I think it's extremely refreshing in this town of all places. Yep. But I also think that it's interesting because those other teams that have openings, many of them are only tweeting out a graphic after the interview has been completed. And that's what I think is it's rather interesting.
Well, I don't mind the after it's been completed, because of the fact that some of these, just because you've requested to interview, they may not occur. So some people may get excited and an interview may not actually happen.
Correct. Yes. And That's absolutely true. We do know a couple interviews are already set. Ben Johnson will interview Saturday, Aaron Glenn tomorrow, both virtual interviews. Robert Saleh, I read this, I believe it was either Breer or Josina Anderson who noted it. It appears whatever the terms are of his deal with the Green Bay Packers as a consultant, in some form or fashion, they expire at some point between this week and next week because he will interview in person from reports that I've seen Tuesday with the Jaguars.
Which makes sense because, again, he's not in the same arena, I should say, as some of these other guys. Like, he was fired as a head coach earlier this season. None of these other candidates fit
sorry.
that bill.
Let me clarify. The reason I brought that up is because if he's under contract, it has to be virtual. And so the fact that it's an in-person interview also helps you because as part of the Rooney Rule, you also need to not only interview 2 minority candidates in the first round, at least 2 minority candidates in the first round. You also need 1 in-person interview with a candidate of color so that you suffice the Rooney Rule for the second round of interviews that are all in person if possible.
Well, at this point in time, Shot is busy. I also wonder what it's like in the building in Detroit when you've got Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn interviewing for a lot of the same jobs. Like, do they have meetings before and after? How'd it go with you? How did you think it went with this team or that team? How did you answer this question?
Right. I'm sure they do. And I'm sure, honestly, as much as, look, Dan Campbell, well, right now he's not focused on anybody because they have the week off. I mean, they're practicing, obviously. But I'm sure Dan Campbell is there and more than willing to be a springboard for both of those individuals and say, hey, how did it go? Let's get ready for the next one. What do you think you can do better? Like, how do you want to present yourself? These 2 were head coaching candidates last cycle as well, Lauren. So I don't think it's that unfamiliar of territory for the Detroit Lions outside of the fact that they have the number 1 overall seed. And if anything, it's better because now they don't have to worry about getting ready for a ball game this weekend while also preparing for those interviews.
Right, which other teams are going through that, where their assistant coaches and coordinators are preparing for both a game and interviews as well. You know who's not a springboard for their coordinator to potentially leave? Josh Allen. The Buffalo Bills quarterback, when asked about all the help that Joe Brady has been this season, he said, none at all. He hasn't helped us a bit. Stay away from him. So I understand.
Well, that's after what we heard from Baker Mayfield yesterday, too, where he was like, all right, Liam, you're only going to be allowed to leave Tampa if you beat me in a one-on-one game at Sawgrass.
Yes, I love that. All right, when we return, Mia will try to make you some money with her MyBookie picks. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
1010XL is your home for Jacksonville University basketball.
The Dolphins' 2-game trip to Kentucky starts tonight in Louisville. J.U. Bellerman, 6:30 on 1010 a.m.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Mia here. Why Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned? I'll tell you why. Over 600 vehicles in stock, 1 location. That's over 275 SUVs, over 200 cars, over 110 pickups, over 30 Jeeps, over 50 luxury vehicles on the ground in stock at 1 location. Arlington Pre-Owned even has 125 vehicles under $18K. Plus, Arlington's 30-day exchange program is now double. That's 60 days to decide if you love your purchase or come on back and exchange it for one that you do. Worried about financing? Don't be. Arlington's Credit for Everyone program is here to help you get financed. You even get a complimentary car wash with every scheduled service. 600 vehicles in stock on the ground every day. Plus, 60-day exchange, Credit for Everyone, and so much more. So if you want to know why Arlington, now you know. But I got to ask. What are you waiting for? Shop in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Josie for Hard Rock Bet, and now's the time to soak up the season before it slips away. Plenty of action at hardrock.bet. Playoff football, college and pro. We're talking point spreads, totals, parlays, and props. It's all there and super easy at hardrock.bet. TDs, total points, who'll win. Don't want to bet a ton of money? Try a parlay. Combine your bets for a bigger payout. Download the Hard Rock Bet app. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
The Jacksonville Icemen are back home this Friday and Saturday for Lizard Kings weekend. The Icemen throw it back to the 90s and pay tribute to the Lizard Kings by wearing special themed jerseys and a Lizard King bobblehead giveaway for the first 1,000 fans for Saturday's game. So relive your days from the Reptilian Pavilion, Friday and Saturday at ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Game time 7 o'clock. Tickets at Ticketmaster, JacksIceman.com, or call 904-602-POP. Iceman Hockey is #Frozen Frenzy.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Coke Florida congratulates the Jacksonville Jaguars on a great 2024 season. As the local Coca-Cola bottler celebrating 10 years of business, Coke Florida is proud to be the Jags' official beverage partner. From the season kickoff to the final touchdown, Coke Florida's 5,000 associates and passionate fans have cheered on the Jags all season long. Coke Florida and the Jags tackle game day with great taste.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. No matter the weather, Triumph has an unbelievable selection of rides where you can get out and just enjoy the highway.
They do. The new Rocket is out with the new color schemes, the Tiger 1200, which has been revamped. These bikes are nice, gorgeous, and ready to ride.
And if you want to take a look at the selection, they can just roll into the showroom and see a full variety.
We've got them all in stock and ready to go.
So if you log on, cyclesofjacksonville.com, search the Triumph line, and then head into the showroom. You'll be impressed. Cycles of Jacksonville.
With 50 years of fabrication expertise and towing products, the family at Cannons of Jacksonville can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Looking for a new or used firearm? Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach will get you locked and loaded. New firearms coming in weekly and always looking for used guns. No lines and no waiting. Online at beachesjewelryandpawn.com.
An ACL tear can be a devastating injury with prolonged pain and rehabilitation. Hi, I'm Dr. George Bari. I'm a sports medicine orthopedic surgeon who grew up right here in Jacksonville and then went on to train with the world-renowned Dr. James Andrews. At Bari Orthopedics, we use the most current techniques to get you back in the field with less pain and quicker rehabilitation. We treat all types of sports injuries with the newest techniques available. Please call us for consultation or visit BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
Start your new year off healthy. Get screened at Ackerman Urology for common cancers of the prostate, bladder, and kidney. Early detection is key with 5 locations across Northeast Florida. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Mack drops the throw. He's looking. Fires it to the left side. Corner of the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! Brian Thomas Jr. for the score!
Well, you just heard that highlight of one Frank Frangie calling the Brian Thomas touchdown, and that's because BTJ was named NFL Offensive Rookie of the Month. He was nominated 8 times this season. The first 7, he did not receive the award, but that's right, RJ. BTJ has been obviously the biggest bright spot for this team this season, but regardless of the quarterback, he was able to, as long as they targeted him, he was able to put up impressive numbers.
Yep, and at long last, so maybe, and look, we don't wish any ill will on those 4 starters who were elected to the Pro Bowl for the AFC, but, you know, maybe if one of them isn't to play, it would be nice to see Brian Thomas Jr. at the Pro Bowl games at the beginning of February.
Yeah, I mean, Zay Jones would be the likely candidate of...
Zay Flowers.
Thank you, Zay Flowers, not Zay Jones. He did not make the Pro Bowl. But yeah, Zay
Didn't
Flowers
play
would be
enough
the one, right? Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr., 45 receptions in December, and then the one game in January, 593 receiving yards, 5 receiving touchdowns. Should have been 6 because that one on Sunday in Indianapolis was a touchdown, even though they didn't call it. Doug didn't challenge it. Maybe that's the moment that Shad decided to fire Doug, is when he didn't challenge that touchdown that could have been 303 yards after the catch and 6 25-plus yard receptions. That, to me, Mia, that very last stat, I'm not knocking Mac Jones as a person, but as a quarterback, he obviously doesn't have the strongest arm. And so just imagine if Trevor had been able to finish the season, how many more 20-plus yard catches BT would have had.
Right, exactly. And that's what makes it all the more impressive. And I think when we look back on it and we look back at this rookie year of Brian Thomas Jr., in which, I mean, Gus Logue on our Duval Rundown podcast this morning, we always start with a trivia fact. I didn't realize that it's BT and it's Allen Robinson in terms of having double-digit touchdowns and more than 1,200 receiving yards in a single season in Jaguars history. It's the two of them. And that, for me, says a ton in terms of if that's the floor for this. Right. And again, we don't know. Time will tell, and we'll see what new head coach, new offensive scheme, what that does. But if this is the floor, that is the reason that despite the fact that Trent Baalke remains, this remains a viable opening for a head coach. Because, yes, there's the quarterback, and there are plenty of Trevor believers, even if there's not so many on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. The
text line is a dark,
yes, it doesn't
place.
exist. Sorry, friends. We love you, Heeligans. It's dark and depressing. But there are believers in Trevor Lawrence around the league, and there are certainly believers in Brian Thomas Jr. And that is where, and like we talked about this on the podcast this morning, Lauren, as we got to the portion, because we did the Fix Your Franchise, our local version of it. If you're familiar with our friends Trevor Sikkema and Connor Rogers, who have joined us on this program before, they do a podcast called the PFF Stock Exchange. They do a series called Fix Your Franchise. They pick a team. They give new head coach, new GM, staff. They draft the first 3 rounds. Anyways, that's on our 1010XL Jaguars channel. People were commenting and so upset, Lauren, that Gus and I were not drafting certain positions. Why are you not drafting edge right now? Why are you not drafting interior of the defensive line? Why are you not drafting a wide receiver? Why are you? Because whether you like the players or not, those positions are already filled, if only on the books in dollars and cents. You have already paid Josh Hines-Allen. You drafted Trayvon Walker at number 1 overall.
And you're going to pay him too, by the way.
Correct. Your edge rusher positions, if now depth is needed, to be clear, but your number 1, number 2 bookend edge rushers, set. Your bookend tackles, you either have paid or on a rookie first round contract. Your bookend tackles are set. The interior of your defensive line, you drafted Mason Smith in the 2nd round. Eric Armstead, the way that the contract is structured, you can't say goodbye. He's around. Devon Hamilton, same thing. He's around. You drafted Jordan Jefferson in the 4th round. Where can you add these pieces? They're already there. And the only one that you look at and you say, wow, they're already there, and that is a blue chip prospect. And I don't want to go through, because we'll do that at some point on either Duval Rundown or this program. We'll go through and we'll identify, as Daniel Jeremiah and our friend Bucky Brooks do on Move the Six, who the blue chip players are, who the greens are, the pinks, the yellows, as they like to do around NFL personnel offices. The undisputable blue on this team, a team that has had lots of green for the first 2 years of Doug Peterson, and the bulk of the last decade plus. They've had plenty of green, but they have lacked that blue. That blue chip guy is Brian Thomas Jr.
And I have a feeling we'll see a lot more number 7 jerseys in the stands when it comes to the 2025 season. And going back to the text line as far as how negative people can be there. And by the way, you're always welcome to jump in the conversation. 904-641-1010, the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. The reason I asked Jeremy Fowler the specific question, have you heard of any of the prospects, any of the head coaching candidates that don't want to work with Trevor Lawrence, is to address that group of people and all the people out there who don't believe in Trevor. Does Trevor need to improve? Absolutely. He said it himself today. But part of the issue that we have talked about ad nauseum is the fact that they could not run the ball consistently and effectively. Therefore, they have to do things offensively that they shouldn't have to do as often. Pushing the ball downfield is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I screamed to begin the beginning of the season, get the ball to BTJ. Get the ball. By the way, in the building, they call him BT.
Yeah.
A lot of us call him BTJ. I like BTJ better. I think it rolls off the tongue. But either way, regardless, get the ball to him. But you still have to be able to run the ball so that you can set things up. And so certainly Trevor spoke to that, and we'll let you hear from Trevor, if not today, certainly throughout the week, this week. But as far as you making people money, take it away.
Now, Mia's Midday My Bookie picks. Experience the Vegas thrill from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere, only with My Bookie.
I have a 5-pack, 5-pick parlay of goodies for you, brought to you by our friends at mybookie.ag. It's my midday picks here on Helmets and Heels. Let's kick it off, RJ. How about in the association? Because we also received some good news this week. Paolo Banchero is expected to return for the Orlando Magic after a, month and a half? 2 months off now, RJ, with the oblique injury. At long last, we were sitting here at 1010XL, and we're like, my goodness, the Jaguars aren't winning games. The team we've appropriated to the South in Orlando can't win games, and they're all hurt. At least Paolo returns. We don't know if he will return tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves or later this weekend against the Milwaukee Bucks. Before I give you my play of the week, RJ, what say you with Paolo? Do you think he's going to come back against the T-Wolves?
Yeah.
He's at shoot-around right now. I saw a couple of the reporters are interviewing him literally as we speak.
Yeah, if they want to play him there, and I'm sure he'll probably be on a minutes restriction just to kind of see how he's feeling after his first game of play. And I think it would be tough to go against the Milwaukee Bucks in your first game back. But, congratulations to the Orlando Magic when it comes to the others on that team, gaining that confidence, winning games, and really staying afloat despite his absence. But you could kind of see at this point now they really need Paolo back. They're starting to leak oil because a lot of the guys that they're counting on are getting injured themselves, and I don't know how deep in the barrel you can go. So you need a star back, and that star in the form of Paolo Banchero is coming back. So hopefully this pays dividends to them in the long run.
For those of you who don't follow the NBA, think the Cleveland Browns of last year. That's literally what we're dealing with in the Big O. But a credit to Paolo for making his comeback this weekend. I'm afraid of touching that 5.5-point line in favor of the T-Wolves, RJ. The T-Wolves, I don't want to say they've disappointed this season, but I do think that life after Karl Anthony Towns, Mike Dempsey's favorite player in the entire universe, shout out to the Knicks, I think it's been more difficult than they anticipated. I think the idea was Anthony Edwards is our alpha. We can say goodbye to Cat, and we will be A-okay. That has not been the case. So I'm actually going to play the under 199.5 in this ball game. Two teams that at times this season have struggled to find offense despite the fact that, they're built to score. There's a reason that once upon a time, the Timberwolves went out and drafted not one but two guards in the opening round of last year's NBA draft. Let's kick it on over to the National Football League. The two teams that we did not make our picks for, which, by the way, our picks, brought to you by MyBookie as well, are up on all of our social channels that we made yesterday before Taylor Dahl headed off on vacation. Let's begin with the nightcap on Saturday night, Lauren Brooks. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, the Ravens, 9.5-point favorites. I am going to pick Baltimore to cover because I think the other shoe has finally dropped. It has finally struck midnight on Russ and the Pittsburgh Steelers offense.
Yeah, I would do the same thing. I would have taken Ravens in the 9.5.
I am also going to take the Minnesota Vikings, who are favored by 1 on the road against the LA Rams. At this time, we don't have any further updates as far as when and where that game will take place, given the awful situation in Southern California, which, of course, our prayers are with everyone out there. RJ's hometown and a place that I spent a semester, and so we're thinking of everybody out there. I would love for the Rams to get a win if this game really is at SoFi Stadium, but
contingency is Glendale and the Cardinals Stadium.
Correct, yes, and whether it's in Arizona or it's at SoFi Stadium in LA, I would love to see the Rams win. I'm going to take the Vikings, though, Lauren, because I do believe in what Kevin O'Connell is building in Minnesota, and I don't see a world in which after the disappointing regular season finale in Detroit, this isn't at least a very competitive game.
Yeah, the Rams are an interesting team. They started off the season slow, and then they kind of picked up steam. And the Vikings are almost the reverse. Like, they started off so incredibly hot, and then they've played well throughout the season. They didn't have even that many losses. But just as far as they feel like the Vikings feel like everyone thinks they're a fraud. And this game is the biggest test of something like that. Vikings only lost 3 games all season. Certainly, we saw the Vikings here live in person at Everbank Stadium. They only scored 12 points.
Sam Darnold threw 3 picks.
He did. The week before that, or 2 weeks before that, he had thrown several interceptions as well. And then the Rams at 10-7. That's that is like that weird spot in the NFL where, yes, you can make the playoffs. You can also miss the playoffs as a 10-win team. And yeah, I don't know what to make of this. I would call them almost like the aging Rams at this point in time.
Right. Yeah, and it's not even. It's weird because it is a combination of Matthew Stafford, who certainly has found the fountain of youth since being, paired with Sean McVay. Cooper Kupp has been banged up throughout the course of the season. They do have that younger iteration that they brought in last year, where Les Snead hit on basically every pick in the NFL draft. They bring in the combination from Florida State, Jared Verse, and it's working. But I think that comes to a close on Monday night. Finally,
by the way, real quick, the Rams, the last 3 games before they finished the season losing to the Seahawks, but the last 3 games they had, the Rams won 12-6 over the 49ers, 19-9 over the Jets, and 13-9 over the Cardinals. And then they lost 30-25. So in their 3 losses, their 3 wins, they scored 12, 19, and 13.
I also forgot to mention, too, that the Rams beat the Vikings at SoFi Stadium earlier this year, and it is hard to beat a team twice in one season, even if the Jags did it against the Chargers, but I digress. To college basketball we go. Let's begin on the men's side in the Big Ten, and thank goodness, at least a semi-traditional Big Ten matchup. I've been lamenting about this on my basketball podcast, Lauren. The fact that I have to watch UCLA, Nebraska at 10 o'clock at night, and we brand this as a Big Ten rivalry game, it makes me want to anyways.
I'm thankful I don't have to watch that.
This one is a long-standing series, even if it's still a relative newcomer to the Big Ten. Rutgers, a 2-point underdog against the Purdue Boilermakers, who have leaked oil, to be clear, throughout the course of this season, but still remain a top 15, top 20 outfit, depending on which metrics you're looking at. What's even more interesting about this matchup, though, for all of Rutgers' deficiencies over the last few years, at times, when it comes to pre-Steve Peichel, the Mike Rice situation. Obviously, Steve Peichel has created much more of a winning culture in Piscataway, but he perhaps has been undermanned until this season when he has 2 of the top 3 projected players in the NBA draft. Rutgers has the advantage in the series over the last 9 games. They are 5-4 against a team that Matt Painter has been at the helm of for decades, that went to the national title game last year. While Purdue enters this one on a 3-game winning streak over the Scarlet Knights, I am taking Rutgers to cover that 2-point spread. They need that signature win, just like they did in 2023 when they upset the Boilermakers in West Lafayette, just like they needed it in 21 and 2020 when they swept the Boilermakers. Give me Rutgers +2. And finally, we'll end with one from the women's side in the SEC. Ole Miss, Coach Yo, still a fan favorite here in the River City after her time at Jacksonville University. It's crazy to think she's now been at Ole Miss for almost 7-8 years now, which is just baffling because it feels like time has flown by. She's become a big name in the women's basketball Power 4 conferences and constantly is referenced as one of the best coaches in the game, and for good reason. She got her team to the Sweet 16 2 years ago as a double-digit seed. They are taking on Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has one of the best freshmen in the country, Michaela Blakes. Lauren dropped 36 in her conference debut against Georgia, 5 assists, 0 turnovers, a Vanderbilt single-game freshman record. However, Ole Miss lost against Arkansas. Was it Arkansas? I want to make sure I got that one right. I know they're coming off of a loss. Yes, Texas A&M, excuse me. They beat Auburn in their SEC opener. They lost to A&M. And so I believe that Coach Yo and the Rebels will bounce back and cover a 2.5-point spread tonight for the women's basketball pick of the week. Again, that's a 5-pick parlay for me. The under in the Timberwolves Magic game, I have the Ravens covering a 9.5-point spread, the Vikings covering a 1-point spread, Rutgers men's basketball +2, and Ole Miss covering a 2.5-point spread in the women's basketball ranks.
Speaking of women's basketball, Florida plays host to number 15 Kentucky today at 5 p.m. So Florida's women's basketball, I would say it's been up and down so far this season, but certainly has a chance to take down Kentucky, unlike the men. Obviously, they were at Rupp Arena, though. This one's in Gainesville, but still a big chance for the women's basketball team for the University of Florida. We've got more to do on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This is the place for Jaguars football.
Listen to this crowd. How about them Jags?
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Hey, poker fans! The Best Bet Winter Open Series returns to Best Bet Jacksonville from January 23rd to February 2nd. Satellites into the $1,500 main event kick off January 4th. Take your shot at big payouts with 8 action-packed events and $500,000 in guarantees. Visit bestbetjacks.com for more details. That's bestbetjacks.com. And we'll see you at the Winter Open starting January 23rd.
Why buy from Hodges Mazda at the Avenues? Because they strive to ensure a satisfying and comfortable car buying experience. And now they are giving back. Lauren Brooks here. Hodges Mazda wants to say thank you to all educators, first responders, and healthcare providers by offering a complimentary oil change and car wash. Simply call them today or schedule online at HodgesMazda.com. This is part of the Hodges Mazda difference. Come experience for yourself. Visit them online at HodgesMazda.com. Free oil change not to exceed $79.99. Excludes diesel vehicles. Expires January 31st, 2025. See dealer for complete details.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
January 9, 1991, Chicago Bulls Michael Jordan scores a game-high 40 points to lead the Bulls to a win over Philadelphia, reaching the 15,000-point mark of his career.
Mia here for Dreamfinders Homes. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now is your chance to lock down the rate and get in the game. You heard me right. A 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less.
Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
It's New Year's resolution time, so why not skip the guilt and do something you'll actually stick to, like fixing that leaky faucet, unclogging that drain, or getting your AC ready for the summer.
Duck Rooter is here to help you keep this resolution, investing in your home.
Start the year off right with Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Call us today at 904-862-6769, because when you're stuck, call the Duck. Right now, get $50 off any service of $150 or more.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS, right here in Jacksonville, is the only hair transplant clinic in the country that offers multi-unit hair grafting, FUE Neograft hair transplants, and the 45-minute effective PRP treatments.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
Thank you, IHRS.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Schedule a free evaluation and find out how to grow your hair back and keep the hair you have. Call 904-777-IHRS. Take the first step to restoring your hair today. Visit hairforme.com.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years.
Call now for a free in-person or virtual evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Got a cracked windshield? Not only is it dangerous, but did you know it's also illegal? Call Baker Glass. Mack and his crew use the best auto glass in the market, and they accept most insurance. Plus, all new windshields come with a full warranty. From cars, to trucks, to RVs, you can count on Baker Glass to be fast and friendly. Just check out their Google reviews. Come see us at the shop on Casta Avenue, or we can come to you at your home or business.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
This is Dr. James Perry, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars owner Shad Khan gave the rundown on what he views as the highest priority to get turned around by the new coaching staff, as he felt one of the top reasons the team fell short so many times this year was due to the team being too unpredictable.
We are the most predictable team on both sides of the ball. And football, to win, deception is a big part of it. Unpredictability. If you know exactly what we're going to do on offense or defense, you better have the 22 best players to help us win a football game.
The team has requested to interview 8 coaches from around the league in hope to find one to make them, as owner Shad Khan wants to see, unpredictable. I'm Max Fink with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Taylor Dahl has today and tomorrow off. I have a feeling she's probably not yet quite super nervous about the Notre Dame game tonight, but as the hours tick closer, because we're just under 7 hours now, I know about those nerves. Not that my team's played in college football playoffs in my final game by any means.
I was going to say, Lauren, I mean, I know for you it would have started at 9 a.m.?
Florida played Kentucky men's basketball Saturday at 11 a.m. And the moment I woke up at 7, I was nervous. And that's just a regular season game. So I can only imagine my college football team being in the playoffs in my final.
And Taylor did tell us she already had this vacation scheduled. There was a brief moment where she thought, I could just go to Miami instead and change my vacation plans, but in the spirit of superstition, she will be in the same location she was when the Fighting Irish defeated Georgia, and she will have the same T-shirt on and do all the same things for the good juju.
Hey, superstition rules for some sports fans, and I totally understand that. In 2006, I had this one pair of little cute orange and blue earrings that had footballs at the bottom, like beads, orange and blue, and then little footballs. I wore them for every Gator game that year, and it ended in a national championship.
Hey,
so
I'll do you one better. Not one better, because nothing's better than a national championship, but my mom did reveal to me, and this is a true story, and a couple of you, I'm sure, who follow me on social media remember this. My mom, during the 2022 December to Remember run for the Jaguars, I had gotten her the year before, I had gotten her fuzzy Jaguar pajama socks, and she wore them during every game because they're up in New Jersey, and so it's cold up there. So every game she had her socks on. And during the Chargers game, she and my dad were out to eat, and they were driving home, and she texted me, and she goes, "Oh, my God, we were out to eat with insert friends here, and I realized I don't have the socks on. Don't worry, Trevor, I'm coming." And she went home. She put them on. They turned on the second half, and we all know how that game ended. So I am here all the way for all the superstitions.
Those socks ever since 2022?
It's funny. She hasn't worn them, and she brought it up to me during one of the last.
It's all her fault.
One of the last games, she said to me, I really haven't worn them a lot, and I'm wondering if I didn't wear them in September. I'm like, well, I'm not going to judge you for not wearing them in September, because she did wear them in 23, and we still know how that turned out. She tried during the Titans game in the season finale, because she texted me and was like, we got the socks. We're good.
But we weren't.
We weren't.
No, we weren't.
Same with the Duval Donkey, by the way, for those of you who listen to the Terminex kickoff show. It lasted for one season. Sometimes in season, I believe the superstition will carry over. It's the carryover from year to year. You need to find what the next superstition is that you need to practice.
Yeah, for sure. I had those earrings for all of 2006, 2007, that's when Tebow won the Heisman Trophy. I had them for 2008. Florida won another national championship. I had them in 2009, but they broke right before the SEC championship game, and that's when Florida lost to Alabama, and we all know what's happened since then. All right, speaking of Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, earlier today he was asked if the offense was too predictable, like you just heard Shad Khan say.
You know, I at times I think you could say that about other offenses as well, but I just think when you struggle to, for us it's, whether it's certain plays unfolding, not going our way, or scheme or whatever, we weren't able to run the ball consistently, effectively the last few years, and I think that really gave us trouble, to be honest, and it's hard to get everything else going when that's struggling. So I think that's where you maybe can see the predictability is when that's not working, and you have to lean on pushing the ball downfield or getting the ball on the perimeter. I think that's where you can kind of see maybe some predictability. And obviously this year it becomes even tougher, right, with a bunch of injuries, and you lose me, Evan, Christian, Gabe. You lose some guys up front, you start to piece all those things together, and then it is challenging to be unpredictable and efficient and explosive when you're missing a lot of pieces. So, I think at times we were, for sure, and I think that's something that definitely should be evaluated in the new scheme that we get. Whoever comes in here, head coach, offensive coordinator, whatever the setup is, just. I think that run game piece of setting our guys up for success with the scheme, and then obviously the detailed and coaching and making sure we're just all on the same page to where we can run the ball effectively and consistently. Because I think that's where you look at the good offenses in the NFL. They all pretty much have that. So we need to be able to do that, and obviously we got to make the plays down the field too. And seeing how BT jumped out this year, I mean, that's exciting, and the other guys we have, and I feel like when I'm healthy, obviously pushing the ball down the field is a strength of mine. So I think marrying all those things together will help with that for sure.
Losing guys up front, I feel like that was a Cam Robinson. We ran the ball a little bit better when you were there, and then the Jags traded him away.
I didn't even pick up on that, honestly.
I didn't pick up on it in person when we were there, but listening to it back now, when he said we lost a couple guys up front, I was like, who did they lose up front?
Well, I think he means that they lost Ezra Cleveland for a couple of games, that, obviously Cooper Hodges, was filling in for Ezra Cleveland. You lost him for the season. You lost Walker Little for a couple games. Granted, Trevor wasn't there at that point. Anton Harrison missed a game or two. I don't think it was a matter of, I don't think it's Cam, in my opinion. I think that's just him kind of talking as he's going. Trevor, and maybe it could be, because what I was about to say is that Trevor doesn't introduce anything to the conversation unless it's intentionally placed there. And so maybe it is. I just found the fact that he immediately went to, we didn't run the ball well enough the last 3 years. And the idea of we didn't complement the run well enough even when we were running the ball, and we can push it down the field, but that can't be the only thing that we do. I thought that was very telling, because in listening to Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks, the comparison that, as so many of you know, RJ, let's cue up and imagine real quick, just for conversation's sake, because I want to take you guys back here in a second.
Imagine with Closets by Design.
Imagine your home totally organized.
2 weeks, baby. Can't wait for Closets by Design to swing on by and install my brand new, beautiful, functional walk-in closet. Lauren, you may recall, we did an Imagine not too long ago in which we compared the Jacksonville Jaguars and the opportunity ahead of them this all-important offseason, because correct me if I'm wrong, Trevor did say multiple times, this offseason is critical. Multiple times during today's availability, this offseason is critical. The comparison that I made a few weeks ago was to a team in Southern California, a team that is also blessed to have drafted a quarterback with elite God-given potential, but that was not maximized under his, technically, second coach. And so the new coach comes in, a new regime, as a matter of fact, because they cleared the table out there in Los Angeles, and they gave Justin Herbert a brand new general manager, a brand new head coach. And what did Jim Harbaugh do with his shiny tool, his shiny toy, Lauren Brooks, of Justin Herbert? First 5-6 weeks of the season, he said, don't worry. I got you. We're going to run the ball. We're going to need you when the going gets tough in the postseason, because we're going to get to the postseason, but we're going to run the ball. And then that will free you up to then not feel this pressure of you are the offense. You have to carry the offense. And if you are not operating on peak efficiency, then the entire operation goes to heck in a handbasket real quick. And isn't it
his attempts in Justin Herbert's his attempts in the first 3 weeks, 26, 20, and 18 as far as passing attempts, and 27 in the fourth week.
And
so
what was it more like the last 3 games of the season?
Then it was the last 4 of the season, 33, 31, 38, 36, to add some stats.
Peaking at the right time, right? I've heard that before.
Or once you're comfortable in the offense, then we'll unleash you.
And this is an offense that is going to be based on running the football, even if we have an elite top 10 quarterback, because if we're not playing complementary, balanced football, we're predictable. Look at Jared Goff. Look at Baker Mayfield. Look at Sam Darnold. Those 3 names we love to talk about, the reclamation projects, right? Imagine if I told you that all 3 of them have more than capable run games. Is that a coincidence, Lauren Brooks?
It's not. Here were Trevor's first. I'll give you the first 5, because week 1 against the Dolphins, the Jaguars actually ran the ball very well. Obviously almost won that game had it not been maybe for a fumble, but only 21 pass attempts in the first game. But then 30, 38, 33, 34. That's starting the season, throwing the ball all over the yard.
It's not sustainable. And clearly, Trevor knows where the rest of the league is at. And again, he doesn't introduce things to the conversation without intentionality. And that was intentionally brought up when asked about that predictability comment.
All right, when we return, Shireen Williams will join us of Pro Football Talk. She's covered the NFL for 30 seasons, so we will chat with her on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Our coordinates here are, 10, 10,
XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Mia here since 1982. Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made the process so easy. She came to my house and designed a personalized, beautiful walk-in closet that's incredibly functional for me and Beau Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com. And be sure to check out their New Year's specials, including 18-month special financing. Closets by Design, 1-800-293-3744.
Open enrollment is here, so it's time to secure health coverage for your family. Whether you need Affordable Care Act plans, dental, or Medicare, contact Florida First Insurance Group on University Boulevard, an award-winning Florida Blue agency well known for providing superior service. Theo Mitchelson and his team at Florida First make the process easy and stress-free with medical and dental insurance you can count on. Plus, listen to this. Based on eligibility, many people pay absolutely nothing for coverage. Contact Theo Mitchelson and the Florida First Insurance Group today and let your health be their priority. And a reminder for Florida Blue members, visit Sanitas Medical Center with 3 locations in town offering primary care, walk-in services, and on-site pharmacy and mental health support. SANITAS Medical Center, Florida First Insurance Group, and Sanitas Medical Center, a winning team in Northeast Florida.
Need extra cash for the holidays? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn is always buying guns, musical instruments, surfboards, and tools, and pays cash money. Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach. Online at beachesjewelryandpawn.com.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out. Pour down in the rinse shade. Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
You waited forever for your new fence. Strangers show up, subcontractors you've never met, rushing through the job, and sent by the company you trusted. Frustrating, right? Superior Fence and Rail promises better. Their professionally trained employees deliver quality you can trust. No subcontractors, no shortcuts, just the superior craftsmanship your home deserves.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Hey, Hickett here. It's playoff time now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. With more than 10 million members and billions of dollars awarded in winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. The app is simple to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport, pick more or less on their projections, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your accounts this sports season. Join Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, available to play in more than 40 states. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code JAX and get $50 instantly when you play 5. That's code JAX on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, man. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Make a resolution this new year to send all of your friends or family a Kuhn Flowers floral arrangement. Or how about just sending one person you love a floral arrangement? Kuhn Flowers can handle it all.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both with everyday deals at Sonny's? Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. The Gators men's basketball team had many players step up in their dominating performance against the #1 ranked Volunteers. This included junior guard Denzel Aberdeen, who came off the bench to help with foul trouble, and found himself finishing the game with 16 points. Gators head coach Todd Golden spoke on Denzel's performance.
Zel's super important to us, obviously doesn't start, but he's, the only other perimeter that's getting consistent minutes. And when he plays well, we're really, really good. And, I thought he did some good things last Saturday, but some things that we need more from him. And tonight we got more from him. He had 16 and 20 minutes. I thought he did a good job defensively, just had some really big moments that allowed us to continue to build the lead.
It's 48 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
O'Brien, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you, and we're welcomed by our first guest of the day, Shireen Williams of Pro Football Talk. Shireen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure and an honor to join you guys. Big fan of you guys.
Well, we sincerely appreciate that, and we are a big fan of you. Let's get it to what I think is one of your more interesting tweets over the last few days, and that is the fact that obviously around here, and really long before Doug Peterson was fired, many people have discussed the names Ben Johnson and Liam Cohen as far as those young offensive coordinators for the next head coach of the Jaguars. But you believe it should be Aaron Glenn as far as team's number one target. Why is that, Shireen?
Well, first I should say I am very biased because I am an Aggie. I know Aaron Glenn very, very well. So all that group of Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn and Dennis Allen and all those guys who came through A&M are friends of mine. But having said all that, I thought the game plan he put together in that Week 18 game last Sunday against the Vikings was masterful. I'm probably like many people were going into that game that they had no chance to win that game because I didn't see any possible way that they were going to stop the Vikings. I thought it would be a shootout, and at some point the Lions offense would do something, and the Vikings offense would just be unstoppable. And it didn't happen that way, and it was a great game plan, what he did. Now, having said all that, you know, I think Trevor Lawrence needs an offensive coordinator. He needs somebody that's going to get him better. And it's going to take, obviously, a coach who believes in him. And to me, that may be part of the problem with hiring. Is anybody going to believe in Trevor Lawrence? He still has a lot to prove. And it's going to take somebody who really believes in him and believes they can win with him because those guys are going to be tied together. And that coach is going to have that quarterback for the length of the time he's in Jacksonville. And so if Trevor Lawrence can't play, you're not going to win, and you may never get another chance as a head coach. That's why I think it's going to be a really hard hire because it is going to have to be somebody who really believes in Trevor Lawrence and believes that they can win. The number one thing I think that works for the Jaguars and is in their favor, it is a crappy division, as we all know. It is very winnable. So if you think you can win with Trevor Lawrence, then you've got a shot because you're in a division, and you've got a shot right away. You're in a division that's not going to take many games to win to get there.
Mia here, Shireen, thanks so much for joining us. I also think I just double tapped on your X account as I'm about to tell our listeners where to find you on Twitter/X. It's at NFL Shireen. Following you, we're good. I don't know what happened there. Anywho, appreciate you joining us and taking time for us. We actually were just talking in the 12 o'clock hour with regards to the idea of teams being willing to work with Trevor Lawrence. That seems to be far down on the list of potential roadblocks for candidates to come here. If anything, the big talking point, and maybe it's because we're looking at this situation through teal-colored glasses where we believe that the best for Trevor Lawrence is still to come, we believe the biggest roadblock remains general manager Trent Baalke. So curious to hear from you that you believe the faith in the quarterback would be a question mark. Have you heard any candidates that may have concern about 16's future in the NFL and with the Jaguars?
No, I think it's that way with any quarterback who hasn't totally proved himself. That you have to believe, and I believe there's guys out there who believe in Trevor Lawrence. Don't get me wrong. There are going to be candidates who believe in Trevor Lawrence, and if they do, then that's the candidate. The candidates you need to look at, and you need to hire one of those. I agree with you. The number one thing for me is that the GM is still there. And it's going to have to be somebody who believes in that GM and believes that they can work together and make it happen. So, yes, I would agree that's the number one roadblock. But you do have to believe in Trevor Lawrence because, again, he is going to, with the contract he signed, he is going to be your quarterback throughout your stay in Jacksonville. And if you get fired, you may never get another head coaching chance. And it's why Ben Johnson turned down some jobs. Like Sean Payton turned down the Raiders before he went to the Saints, the year before he went to the Saints. It was a great move for Sean Payton. He wanted to go to a place that he knew he could win. So it just has to be a coach who believes that he can win. He goes and watches the film of Trevor Lawrence and says, and again, that's why I think it needs to be an offensive coach coming in there, but says, I can make Trevor Lawrence into the quarterback that the Jaguars and everybody else thought he could be when they made him the number one overall pick, and again when they signed him to that extension, that he can be that guy. And so, yes, there's going to be candidates out there who believe that, and that's the candidates they need to hire. And I do think it needs to be an offensive guy. But I'm with you that I agree that the GM still being there, that to me is the number one thing that's kind of the roadblock to that job.
Well, and Shireen, to your point about the offensive guide, Trevor Lawrence met with media earlier today, and that's what he said. He would love a young offensive mind. Of course, he's biased because he's a quarterback. But I do think that this offense was certainly predictable at times, and we know that Doug Peterson ended up losing his job in Philadelphia because he was so tied to Press Taylor and the offensive play caller that Press is. And so when that came here, a lot of Eagles fans looked at the situation and said, oh, we know how this is going to end. Now they feel like they can say, told you so. But don't you think that Shad needs to be looking for someone that can come in and be an offensive, not necessarily genius, but certainly an innovative offensive mind?
Absolutely. And I like a lot of the candidates they have on their list. Again, are those candidates going to be interested in the job? I would think some of them are. You know, the Joe Brady's and Liam Cohen's and Ben Johnson's and Todd Monken's and Kellen Moore's. All those guys, I think, have very good offenses and are innovative minds. And we all know about Ben Johnson, and he's probably going to be assistant coach of the year with what he's done. But all those guys, I think, have done a good job and deserve to be head coaches, and I think all of them can be. And I think Trevor Lawrence, they would make Trevor Lawrence a better quarterback with their play calling and how important that is. So they've got great offensive coordinator candidates on that list, and I do believe they will go to that direction. I think they should go that direction.
Of those young offensive-minded coaches, which to keep score at home, Shireen Williams joining us on the Garber Auto Mall hotline, those young offensive-minded coaches that have been requested for interviews, Ben Johnson of the Detroit Lions, Liam Cohen of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Joe Brady of the Buffalo Bills, Kellen Moore of the Philadelphia Eagles. Of those four, as far as your knowledge, your intel, which of the four for you right now is more than just the hot name offensive coordinator, is someone you've been hearing about for your multiple decades covering the National Football League as this guy could be a head coach down the line?
I think any of those guys are going to make really good head coach. I mean, we all look at Ben Johnson as the guy just because of how innovative he's been with the Lions. I think it's been the trick plays, and they've worked, and the things he's done that were kind of outside the box. We really haven't seen that. But, you know, you look at Todd Monken and Kellen Moore, with what they've done with the running game, I think is great. I think that's the way you win in the NFL. Now, you have to have a bell cow running back to be able to do that, but it just takes so much pressure off the quarterback to be able to run the ball like those two teams have, the Ravens and the Eagles, to be able to run the ball, go to your play action stuff, and just I just think it's the way to go. It has been for decades, despite the fact that how big the pass has become, and it's obviously still very important. But if you're able to run the ball, I just think it makes things so much easier for your offense. So I love what those two offensive coordinators have done this year. Again, with Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, I know it's a lot easier to run the ball than if you have whoever you have with other teams. But I like the way they've done their offense. Joe Brady, I think, has done a great job with Josh Allen. And Josh Allen does not want Joe Brady to leave for obvious reasons. And so I look at him as maybe a guy that, you know, if he can't get Ben Johnson, Joe Brady would probably be my second choice to come in and try to work with Trevor Lawrence and make him a better quarterback and do what they've done. And he hasn't really had, I don't want to say, the weapons to me that the Bills have maybe aren't quite as good. You know, when you start looking at All-Pro and Pro Bowl and things like that, running back, tight ends, receivers, all those things. He has a special quarterback, no question about that, but he has done some really great things with the talent that he's had, and he's made those guys better, the receivers, the tight ends, the running backs. He's made them better with his play calling. I really, really like Joe Brady. He would be my choice if you can't get Ben Johnson.
Yeah, Josh Allen, with everything he's done, no 1,000-yard receiver, no 1,000-yard rusher, to your point. We love to look to the future here in Jacksonville, but it's also fun to go down memory lane. And Shireen, since you are a Hall of Fame voter, have to mention one of the semifinalists, Fred Taylor, ranks 18th on the NFL's all-time rushing list, as I'm sure you well know. What has the conversation been like surrounding our beloved Freddie T?
Yeah, he obviously deserves to have his case told in the meeting. And I think he's deserving of that. And it was probably too many years that went by before he had his case heard and really people started to pay attention to him for what he meant to those teams. And if you watched the team back then, and you did because they were good, then you saw how important he was to their team. They made it much, much harder now. A lot of people don't realize this year to get in, and they're trying to lower the number of people who go in every year, modern era candidates. We've been putting in 5 per year. I'm going to be totally shocked if there's 5 who go in this year. They want to make it in that 2 to 3 range, and I think we're probably going to have 3 players go in this year. And so it's going to be really much harder. The way you did it in the past, you had 5 finalists and you voted up or down, yes or no, on those 5 candidates, and most people voted yes. And, we had 5 candidates go in, whoever those final 5 finalists were. And now the way it's done is you go to 10 and you vote to 5, and that's it. There's no yes or no vote. Whoever out of that 5 gets 80% gets in. That means you're going to have the majority of voters will have to vote for the same 5 candidates for it to be 5, and I just don't see that happening out of 10 candidates. So I think there's going to be probably 3 players, modern era players, who go in every year from here on out for however long this new format lasts. So it's going to be a much, much harder process. I'm sitting here right now writing a presentation for Darren Woodson, and it's just hard to make these guys cases, and so many of them are so deserving of getting into the Hall of Fame, and Fred Taylor is one of those guys.
And Darren Woodson, of course, a friend and a former player of our friend and colleague, Coach Dave Campo, here in Jacksonville. And we've had Darren on before. And another one that it's time for Darren Woodson to get into the Hall of Fame. And unfortunately, fascinating conversation there, Shireen. I didn't realize that is the way that the voting is now going to work. And in turn, that we are looking not just this year at potentially only 3 Hall of Fame candidates, but potentially years into the future, that being the trend, not the traditional 5. As we wrap with you here on the Garber Auto Mall hotline, I did want to address the rest of the coaching carousel in the National Football League. Intel, ideas. I think everyone and their mother is connecting Mike Vrabel to the New England Patriots job. I don't think Robert Kraft would have made that move unless he had assurance from Vrabel's camp that he was interested in returning home to where his name is on the wall in the stadium. Where else do you think there are some fits between some of these hot names on the coaching carousel and openings around the NFL?
Yeah, we talked about Aaron Glenn, and he fits in New Orleans, obviously, with his history there as an assistant coach under Sean Payton, with Dan Campbell there. So he makes a lot of sense, I think, with the Saints. The question I would have is, does he want the Saints job? It goes back to, again, do you think you can win there? With their salary cap problems, that may be a tough thing for them to do. And do you believe, same deal, do you believe in Derek Carr? Can you win with Derek Carr if he's your quarterback? Now, they could move on from Derek Carr. I get that. But they still have terrible salary cap problems. So you've got to look at that roster and can you win within 3 years? Because if you don't, you're probably not going to last more than 3 years as the head coach there. And it could be one and done if it's really bad. But he makes a lot of sense to me with New Orleans. There, and then who knows with the Jets? I mean, goodness, is there anybody they're not interviewing? If you and I, maybe the only ones they haven't called to have an interview with.
No, mine's next Thursday. You didn't hear? I'm interviewing next Thursday.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my call on that. And then it's the Raiders. I think Tom Brady's going to have a heavy hand in where they go and what they do, and again, it's the same thing. There's no quarterback sitting there who's your franchise quarterback. Do they have enough talent on their roster besides Max Crosby and Brock Bowers that you think you can win with? But, it's this every year. Like, there's a reason that most teams change coaches is because of, they've been bad, and they haven't been bad just 1 year, and they don't have a franchise quarterback. And maybe that's what separates Jacksonville, that they think they do have, anyway, a franchise quarterback. They're the only one on this list, other than the Bears with Caleb Williams, and we've only seen 1 year of Caleb Williams, that thinks they have a franchise quarterback. The rest of them are in search of that guy. And I guess the Patriots with Drake May, but again, only 1 year. But we've seen a lot of Trevor Lawrence, and these candidates know what Trevor Lawrence is, and they know what he can be or think that he can be. And if they see that potential in him and think he can be really good, then that's maybe the best place on this entire list to go. I like the Bears. I like some of the Bears' talent that they have, and they've got they're just like the Jets. They've got a really long list of candidates here, but Cliff Kingsbury to me makes a lot of sense for the Bears simply because he was with Caleb Williams last year at USC and knows Caleb Williams very well and has a similar offense. He had that same offense and obviously in Arizona with Kyler Murray, and has the same offense with Jaden Daniels, same type of quarterback. So that to me makes a lot of sense for Cliff Kingsbury in Chicago.
All right, Shireen. Well, we will certainly be watching that coaching carousel and figure out eventually who's going to be the head coach here as well. We really appreciate your time today. Good luck on that presentation.
Thanks, Mia. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We appreciate you, Shireen. And again, you can find her on Twitter at NFL Shireen, and of course, a member of that Pro Football Hall of Fame committee. That's fascinating, Lauren. I had no idea it was trending towards more 3-player classes as opposed to the traditional, what we've come to know as the traditional 5.
Right. I do know that a lot of people in those circles have not liked how many people are getting in. I have heard that, but I didn't know that they were taking measures to go against that. So that's interesting. I know everyone's connecting Cliff Kingsbury to Chicago. Have the Bears even requested to interview Cliff Kingsbury at this point?
And there was a report that may or may not have aired on this station that Cliff Kingsbury is connected to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they have not requested him despite the fact that they've requested plenty of other names on the offensive side of the ball.
Yes, absolutely. The latest that I've seen with the Bears, Matt Campbell of Iowa State, and also Drew Pertzig, the Arizona offensive coordinator. So
interesting.
Just like the Jags, they are fanning out and seeing what they can
And just
get.
like the Jets, who are interviewing everyone, including me.
Absolutely. Let me know how that interview goes. When we return, we will give you our Terminex Pest of the Day. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
1010XL takes you inside the program director's office with Dan and Jeff.
You have broken just about every city ordinance that pertains to this line of work.
The Drill.
You can't say we haven't been a lot of laughs.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey ham, melted cheddar and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's New Year's resolution time, so why not skip the guilt and do something you'll actually stick to? Mia here for my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. How about fixing that leaky faucet, unclogging that drain, or getting that AC ready for the summer? Duck Duck Rooter is here to help you keep this resolution. Call 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Invest in your home and start the year off right. Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
Mia here for MyBookie, hoping everyone had a profitable NFL regular season betting weekend with MyBookie. College football playoff marches on with the Final Four. Notre Dame is favored by 1.5 over Penn State on Thursday. The over-under for that game is 47 points. The matchup suggests a relatively close contest. We know anything can happen. We're taking a look at betting the over here on points total after the offensive showing they both had in the quarterfinals. Friday night, Ohio State favored by 6 against Texas. The over-under here is at 53.5 points, indicating expectations for a bit of a higher scoring affair. The Buckeyes' lead in the spread might reflect confidence in their performance and also is likely to be where the betting public is putting their money. That 6-point line, though, that's pretty hefty. We'll look for Texas to cover the spread. Guys, if you haven't yet, sign up now at MyBookie and still get a 50% deposit bonus. That's half your money back on your very first deposit up to $1,000. Promo code 1010XL. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
Bull riding. The perfect fusion combination of strength, skill, and pure willpower. Professional bull riders aren't just athletes. They're daredevils with cowboy souls. Come experience the true modern West, where 8 seconds of glory will create a lifetime of memories. It's the Michelob Ultra PBR Jacksonville at VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena, February 22nd and 23rd. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com and PBR.com. Hold on tight. The ride of your life is about to begin. Mia O'Brien.
Don't I know you from somewhere?
On Helmets and Heels, noon to 2.
I swear to you, I know her.
Then there's the 1010XL video and social media channels.
I would know her voice anywhere.
All Things Mia is driven by Arlington Toyota.
On 1010XL.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Budweiser reminds us to drink wiser, like hydrating between beers. It keeps the fun going longer, and it's a commitment to responsibility. Remember, good times are ahead, so no need to overdo it. Know when to say when, and always designate a driver.
Making a difference in our community for 2025? Paul Martinez here, President and CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida. The Boys and Girls Clubs offers a safe environment to youth every day with homework assistance, a hot meal, career readiness, and character and leadership programs. 57% of club alumni say the Boys and Girls Club saved their lives. Help us grow our outreach as we serve the kids in our community throughout our 59 clubs. Go to bgcnf.org to donate and learn more.
Hey folks, Mike Detsy here for Pella Windows and Doors. Look, it's kind of cooling down right now. I love opening my windows up this time of year. If you're looking to upgrade your windows in your home, I want you to visit the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. Ask about their latest hurricane and impact-resistant windows and doors, rated #1 by Consumer Reports in all 3 main window categories. You want quality, style, and protection? Visit PellaJacks.com and the showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. That's Pella Windows and Doors online at PellaJacks.com.
Why is the Dead Sea so named? The answer next.
Southern Oak Insurance is proud to continue offering coverage statewide. Financial stability makes Southern Oak Insurance a wise choice for your homeowner's insurance needs. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The Dead Sea is 9 times saltier than any other sea, which means no living creature can actually live there.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
If you know about artificial turf, you know it needs to be done right. Lauren Brooks here from my friends at Sunshine Turf, a family-owned company that will transform your outdoor space into the oasis of your dreams. A putting green, a pet run, a maintenance-free yard. Trust me, the team at Sunshine Turf are the experts you need to transform your lawn. With the highest quality products and budget-friendly pricing, get clean, low-maintenance synthetic grass by visiting sunshineturf.info or call 904-383-0243 to get a free quote today from Sunshine Turf.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Taylor Dahl on vacation the rest of this week. She'll be back on Monday. Terminex came out to our house today. We were so impressed with how thorough they were. They inspected the inside, they inspected the outside, talked to us about any pest issues that we've had. I know the ant problem that we have been dealing with is going to become a big problem for the ants. And I, of course, knew I could trust Terminex since they nix pests for all of my favorite concert venues like VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena and the 1-to-1 Financial Bar Park, which is currently under construction, getting a quick renovation. That's going to be exciting. Find them online, Terminix.com, Terminix.com. All right, Mia, this pest of the day is a little bit saucy.
Ooh.
Pun intended. Sauce Gardner on X tweeted out a picture of an empty room with boxes, a ladder, and construction equipment, captioning it, "Do I even have to say what I'm getting built at my new house?" Well, a fan of the Bills, Callie, she responded, a simulator to teach you how to not commit pass interference or defensive holding.
That's very specific. Okay,
So
continue.
Sauce then responds, I'm sure your husband wouldn't like it if I told him you direct messaged me your OnlyFans link.
Oh, no.
Would he? She is now suing Sauce and also Barstool Sports because then they ended up referencing her and said, if you're a married OnlyFans model who's been DMing Sauce Gardner, you'd be wise not to troll him about his coverage skills. So because they also mentioned her and linked her to OnlyFans, and if you don't know what that is, OnlyFans, don't Google it, kids. Just trust me that it's an adult website. So she's now suing him for defamation because she's not on that website, never has been on that website, and did not like the fact that he just didn't like that she had to point out that he's often getting flagged for those things. I told you it was saucy.
I thought when you first started with the idea of boxes and stuff, I was like, oh, is Sauce Gardner going to follow Robert Saleh to Jacksonville? Like, cool, sweet, sounds good.
Come on down.
That or he's Tyreek Hill looking for a new deal, which, by the way, Drew Rosenhaus is currently on the Pat McAfee show, or he was a little bit earlier, and now things are good. They talked to the Dolphins. Now he doesn't want to move either. So magically, something happened. I don't know exactly what, but something has happened there.
We'll never know. All right, so on the other side, we're going to check in with Mike Sando of The Athletic. So, RJ, let's cool down now.
Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Yeah, I want to go back to something Shireen Williams brought up, which is this idea of would there be coaches who maybe Trent Baalke isn't the biggest roadblock to them for long-term success and long-term employment if they were to take the Jacksonville job, but it is Trevor Lawrence. We in this town will always root for Trevor more than I think the rest of the country, right? I think that's fair in saying, although I do think that there's also a good portion of Jacksonville and the Northeast Florida area, Lauren, that are very critical of Trevor Lawrence. And you could make the argument that national pundits, if anything, are higher on him than some here. But I would say by far and large,
we defend him a lot.
Correct. More teal-colored glasses here than anywhere else.
But also we know the issues that have led to some of the problems.
Correct. So I'm very curious. Mike Sando of The Athletic has been, if anybody, the most critical of one Trevor Lawrence. So excited to get him on here momentarily and get his take on it. But just curious, what these roadblocks will be when it comes to the Jacksonville job that are not named Trent Baalke, because right now in this town and on this station, it seems to be that in our eyes is the only negative. And I know a lot of national outlets have reflected that same sentiment.
Well, like I said to start the show, that's why I asked Jeremy Fowler of ESPN the question. Have you heard of any coaches that would not want to come to Jacksonville because they don't want to work with Trevor Lawrence?
And he said everyone's taking the interview.
He said no one. He's never heard that anyone would not want to work with Trevor. Look, Trevor Lawrence has thrown more interceptions than a lot of people expected. Trevor's also been in the league for 4 years, and he's on his third head coach. That means third new scheme. He's going to have certainly a lot to deal with this offseason between obviously having his first baby, but also having to learn another new playbook and getting new weapons in here. I have a feeling there's going to be some changes along both sides of the ball when it comes to heading into this next season because of, again, this team only won 4 games. All right, so we will check in with Mike Sando. On the other side, you are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
There are 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, and Jags football.
To the 5, into the end zone, touchdown!
Jaguar football lives here. 1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Hey Jacksonville, Taylor Dahl here of Helmets and Heels. Enjoy a pick-me-up while you're on the go. Your Jacksonville area Chick-fil-A restaurants make it easy to get in and get out. Just place an order through the Chick-fil-A app, pay ahead, and pick it up in the drive-thru or curbside where available. Or if you'd rather stay home, order your favorites delivered directly to your door. Wherever you are, the Chick-fil-A app is the perfect way to get what you want and fast. Delivery options and availability vary by location. Menu prices for delivery are higher than at the restaurant. Additional fees apply.
Hey guys, it's your boy E.T. And you need a little extra boost in the bedroom? Blue Chew is what you need. By now you probably know that Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, and Staxin in a chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. So what you waiting for? Blue Chew is all online. No doctor's visits, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Plus, it ships right to your front door in a discreet package. Their licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredients and strengths for your prescription. Guys, If you don't like swallowing pills, no problem. Blue Chew is chewable. And ready for a great offer? How about free? Go to BlueChew.com, consult with a licensed medical provider, and get your first month free. Turn that oh no into a oh yeah. Just chew it and do it. Visit BlueChew.com.
Josie for Hard Rock Bet with football season right now. The stakes have never been higher in college football, and you can bet it all the way to the natty. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and see how easy it is. Parlays, props, game winners, totals, plus basketball, hockey, MMA, you name it. Remember, if your first bet doesn't win, you get up to $100 back to try again. Check out the Hard Rock Bet app. HardRock.bet. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700, offices Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
David Garrard could really spin it on the field.
Garrard fires.
Now he's spinning stories on Jaguars Today.
Okay, yeah.
Brought to you by WaterboyJax.com. Mondays, 10 to noon on 1010XL.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Hey gang, Prosser here, and I've been telling you for years about Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Lifetime Enclosures right now running an awesome special for January. Get a complete enclosure done, get free flooring. Now that can save you some money. If you just need flooring, Lifetime Flooring also running a buy one room, get the second room free. Once again, only for January. Now offering flooring coating as well. So give them a call. I know I did. Visit their showrooms just off Phillips Highway. Proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Come on, admit it. Almost everyone you know seems to be playing pickleball now, right? So whether you just want to learn how to play or you're ready to show off your elite pickleball skills, the Y is the place for you. Visit our brand new McGuire Family Pickleball Center at the Brown Family YMCA in Ponte Vedra Beach. 5 top quality outdoor courts and 3 amazing indoor courts where you can learn about dinks, dill ball, falafel, the kitchen, and more pickleball slang at the Y.
Make a resolution this new year to send all of your friends or family a Kuhn Flowers floral arrangement. RJ Saunders here with 1010XL, and okay, how about sending just one person you love a floral arrangement? Kuhn Flowers can handle it.
Jacksonville contractors and business owners, do you need bathroom partitions and accessories? Frank Frangie here. Coyle & Sons has been in business in Jacksonville since 1927. They've earned the reputation of quality and specialized skill. Coyle & Sons are the ones trusted in Jacksonville by the top contractors, and they can stand on their reputation when you need almost 100 years of commercial contractor experience. Coyle & Sons will design it for you. Call them today at 904-356-4821 or visit them at coilejax.com.
Jeff Lagerman here. Now that football season is here, make sure your ride can get to that tailgate or away game safely and dependably. You can trust the ASC certified professionals at any of the 27 independently owned Napa Auto Care Centers and the quality Napa parts they use. Napa Auto Care Centers can handle everything: oil changes, air conditioning, brakes, engines, transmissions, and more. Napa Auto Care offers a nationwide 24-month, 24,000-mile peace of mind warranty on most repairs. Find a Napa Auto Care Center near you. JacksNapaAutoCareGroup.com.
I occasionally have nerve discomfort in my hands, so the things I love to do
Let's play something, Grandma.
became difficult as I got older.
If you have occasional stabbing and burning in your hands and feet, try Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use. Say yes to healthy nerves with Nervive Nerve Relief. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Tailgate Special Alert. 3 pounds of marinated chicken, 2 pounds of marinated steak tips, 2 pounds of fresh ground beef, and 2 pounds of homemade sausage for only $80 to feed your crew.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Trevor Lawrence got a chance to speak to the media for the first time in a while at Thursday's press conference. One of the first questions asked was how Trevor's emotions were to having his head coach being fired, where he answered with this.
It's unfortunate, I guess is the best way to put it, just because you feel like you wish you could have done more and you wish you would have won more games. If you asked any of us going into this season, no one would have thought Coach Peterson would have been fired at the end of the year, and you just see the way the year went, and it's just disappointing. So I think it's a weird feeling, but you do understand it's part of the business.
Lawrence now prepares for his third coach of his NFL career, as it's now time to look forward and prepare for future success. I'm Max Fink with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
As we put a bow on today's program and look ahead to the continued search for the next Jacksonville Jaguars head coach, as well as recapping Trevor Lawrence's availability this morning, his first availability since he suffered a concussion against the Houston Texans. Mike Sando of The Athletic joining us now on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. Mike, appreciate you hopping on.
Good to be here.
Appreciate it. Let's actually pick up the baton where our friend Shireen Williams left off. She joined us earlier in the 1 o'clock hour. Our entire show from today, of course, will be available on demand a little bit after we get off the air. But, Mike, Shireen brought up the point that while so many in Jacksonville are so quick to say that the biggest roadblock or potential deterrent for a potential head coach is the presence of Trent Baalke here in Jacksonville, she brought up that equally as important for so many of these candidates will be if they believe in Trevor Lawrence. Do you believe that that will be a roadblock and a deterrent for some around the coaching carousel?
I believe that it's very hard for almost all the candidates to be overly selective about which one of these 32 jobs in the whole world they can have. So we can rank them. We can say this one's this or that. And there may be a candidate or two who are high profile or have choices, right? But how many candidates really can have their pick of where they want to go? It would be a shorter list. So you're going to take those things into account, and it may be a deal breaker for a couple of guys, but I don't think that stops anybody from getting a good candidate. The thing that stops you from getting a good candidate is knowing how to identify a good candidate. That's the hardest thing. And that's what these organizations struggle with time and time again. Some of them have a committee of 15 people trying to figure it out. Some people, maybe it's just the owner. But identifying those traits and knowing who it is a lot more involved than who is number one on offense this year and who is the coordinator. But that ends up being the default a lot of the times.
And, Mike, you can only look to the past, I feel like, to predict the future. It doesn't seem like Shad maybe is the best evaluator of that.
No, but why would you expect somebody whose expertise is not in something to be an expert at it, right? I mean, most of the people who own a football team in the NFL were tremendously successful in other realms. But it's a little bit different. It's different than most businesses, right? Because usually if you own a billion-dollar business, you're great in that business. So it is a big challenge. I don't think that Shad Khan is an actively bad interfering owner, right? I think when you look at a team like the Jets, you can see some real impulsive moves made during the season, even where you're firing people and other people don't know what you're even going to do. That doesn't seem to be Shad Khan. I feel like you could win in Jacksonville if you got the right people. He doesn't seem to actively mess it up. But you're right. The history shows that he doesn't know how to actively guide it or necessarily get the right people either.
Mike Sando, our guest on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. Mike, we had your colleague at The Athletic, Mike Silver, on yesterday, and Lauren asked him a very poignant question that I'm not sure you will have the answer to either, but I'll ask it anyways. Why does Trent Baalke keep surviving?
Well, think of from the owner's perspective. That's all that really matters in this, right? Because the owner is making that decision at the highest level when it comes time to hire or fire coaches, GMs. The owner was on the record before the season saying most talented roster in the history of the organization. The owner was also supportive of the idea that Trevor Lawrence is really going to be a great quarterback, and we're going to pay him the most amount of money well before we have to do so. So those are two things that are hard for an owner to unbelieve overnight. It's a lot easier to unbelieve in the coach, and maybe there's been some tangible things about the coach that who's closer to the ball, right? He's closer to winning and losing. So it's a lot easier to look at the coach and see what he messed up on than it is to look at somebody who's removed from that in a front office. And so you see a lot of general managers surviving. Look at the Giants, Daniel Jones decision, Saquon Barkley decision. But if they tear that whole thing up, it creates a lot of work for who? Mm-hmm. The owner. If you replace the coach, the GM leads the search and off we go. You don't have to be disrupted as much. Chris Ballard in Indianapolis, easy to get along with guy, 8-9 years there. You could easily make a case that, come on, you got to have done more by now. But if he fires him, then the decision made on the quarterback who was just drafted or the coach who was hired, all that stuff gets sort of undercut. I think that's why the GMs have an easier time surviving. They're just less accountable, and it's way more disruptive for the owner when you get rid of them.
It certainly is, and that's why a lot of Jags fans think, well, it's a little bit of a lazy move by Shad, but also going back to your earlier point, the head coach is going to be directly reporting to him. But if Shad's background isn't in football, how much of a great stance is that to take, or a great philosophy is that to go with? As far as philosophy for the new head coach, down here we're almost divisive once again, as far as some people saying pick the play caller, the offensive mind, and then other people saying no, pick the former head coach, someone who knows how to lead these guys and identifies the identity of this team. What say you, Mike?
Well, you definitely have to get the first part, which is leading. You have to find somebody who can lead the whole building, who can have a vision for exactly how they want to play, who just removes the ambiguity from what we're trying to do, how we're trying to do it. Once you have that guy, you can find play callers. There's plenty of great coaches, a lot of them playing in the playoffs this weekend. You think Jim Harbaugh is hired because he's was a great coordinator?
Nope.
Was Jim Harbaugh hired for that? Was Mike Tomlin hired for that? Was Dan Campbell hired for that? Right?
Nope.
Those are the best coaches for the most part, if you look at their records. I live in the Seattle area. Pete Carroll, was he a great offensive schemer? They had top 10 offenses with multiple quarterbacks. They had top 10 offense with Geno Smith, top 10 offense with Russell Wilson. No one wanted those quarterbacks. They weren't number one picks. They weren't Trevor Lawrence's. They had offenses a lot better than Trevor Lawrence's. So I think you have to get that leader and then worry about the other stuff.
As far as the leaders that you believe would best fit this franchise, or if perhaps it is one of those young offensive minds, as Trevor Lawrence alluded to, that perhaps he'd love to work with either as a head coach or an OC, who do you think right now, Mike, would be a fit in Jacksonville, especially given some other potential connections and landing spots around the coaching carousel?
Well, that's where Balky's presence is a factor. You inherit a GM. So I have felt like somebody like a Mike Vrabel would be good in Jacksonville, knows the division, and would bring a toughness to the organization that they probably, they definitely had that with Tom Coughlin, probably had it to some degree with Jack Del Rio over the years, but I think they could sort of use that again, just some kind of a clear identity. And I think he would provide that. Now, he's a strong personality, so you do have to take into account that, hey, Trent Baalke's there too, and he can be a strong personality. So landing that plane on this specific runway could look different than that. That could be, that could possibly lead them in another direction. But that's who I sort of liked throughout the season for them would be a Vrabel.
And unfortunately, it seems like Robert Kraft also likes Mike Vrabel, and so he made that decision to fire Gerard Mayo. A little bit of a surprise, I think, for a lot of people because he only had the 1 year. Now, of course, we all know it's really difficult to follow a legend in Bill Belichick. But I do feel like the Jags kind of thought, or at least Jags fans thought, okay, our main competition are the Chicago Bears. And then the Patriots jumped in as well. And then, of course, the Raiders eventually, but they don't have the quarterback situation. But it does feel like now the pecking order for a lot of people is New England 1, Chicago 2, Jacksonville 3.
Possibly. I think that's up to each candidate when they go in there. I mean, if you go into Chicago, you're going to be interviewed by about 15 people, and you may not have a real sense for who's going to have what type of a voice in the organization. That could be very different than going to Jacksonville, where Balky's in the picture, but maybe it's the owner, the owner's son, and Balky are sort of the people you have to navigate. Maybe that's easier to do than in some other places. So I think that's up to each guy. And then what other concessions can you get in terms of the reporting structure, that sort of stuff. Sometimes those things are negotiable, and we already saw Shad Khan say, hey, you can get a report direct to me. So, maybe each candidate can negotiate some of those things a little bit more and get it set up how they want it.
As we wrap with you, Mike, on the Garber Auto Mall hotline, knowing you've been around the league for quite some time and knowing that I'm sure you've heard, not to go back to it, because I know you've made the point, you think that more veteran leader of men might be the best fit here in Jacksonville, given the situation. But some of those younger offensive-minded guys, Kellen Moore, Joe Brady, Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, if you have any background, have worked with any of those guys before, know of people who have worked for them, any sort of insight on any of those four candidates?
Well, when you get the person who is primarily known for being a play caller, you are then projecting their personalities to how that translates to leading the team. Because some of those guys just sort of want to stay in their silo, sit in their office, and design the offense, and that's not the job, and it becomes challenging. So that's what you have to figure out when you're interviewing those guys, and you can do that if you have a feel for, just reading people and do they feel like they can kind of command it? I think Kellen Moore is a little bit interesting because he's been several places. And then this year, he really changed how he called the games to fit what their new vision is, which is running the ball. I thought that was kind of interesting in Philadelphia, that they did a total pivot from what their organization's mostly been for 25 years. With him there, I didn't necessarily see that coming. I think he also has shown there, it was sort of an arranged marriage with the offensive line coach, Jeff Stoutland, who's a strong personality. There were people in the league who questioned before the year, would that work? It looks like it's worked. So I think Philly's been a real positive for him, where it really had the potential to be a negative that almost, ended in the short term his candidacies if he had had a bad experience there. So I think that's something that would be notable of those guys.
All right, Mike. Well, we really appreciate it, and hopefully next time we talk to you, we've got a coach in place here.
Yeah, hope so.
All right, thanks so much. There he goes, Mike Sando of The Athletic. And look, I feel like throughout all of this week, and we'll continue to do so over the coming weeks, we're trying to gather as much information as we can in NFL circles to try and not just form our opinions, but to also try and figure out the best direction for this franchise. And like I told you and Taylor earlier this week, I was 100% gung-ho on a Ben Johnson play caller as soon as Doug Peterson was fired on Monday. But the more I've listened, the more I've heard the people who are certainly in the know in the NFL talk about the leadership. It started with Bucky Brooks on Frank's show on Monday, on the Frangie show on Monday. And almost every single one says that leadership quality is so important. You can find the coordinators. There are so many good coaches. They're kind of pushing me over to that side.
I don't want to say that it's like the 5 stages of grief, but it's the 5 stages of the coaching carousel where we're all in on we need the hot shot OC to fix the offense. Yep. And then you reach the point of, no, I'm going to poke holes because you're just a play caller. You're not a leader of men.
Right.
And then we're going to poke holes in the retreads and say they're just a retread.
Right.
And this is just a placeholder, and that's not actually maximizing the quarterback. So, listen, you're going to be right back to the next stage in about 24 hours' time.
I'm going to go listen to that Aaron Glenn interview on the pivot that happened previously, and maybe I'll be singing that tune tomorrow.
Exactly. Unfortunately, look, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, and the beholder should be Shad Khan. It is Shad Khan.
It's also Trent Baalke.
Right. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I just do want to come out of this week, and I appreciate Mike Sando. I appreciate Shireen Williams for joining us, and Mike Silver yesterday, and so many others who have joined us and will be joining us in the days ahead. But I think that what is important for everyone to remember is that just because you are not a defensive coordinator and you are not a tough, hard-nosed, I'm going to run the ball and play great defense mentality, does not mean you are not a head coach. There are plenty of head coaches in this league. I don't look at John Harbaugh and say that he is as gruff or as I'm physical. Is that the Ravens' identity? Yes. Is John Harbaugh, does he project that in Baltimore quite like Mike Tomlin or Dan Campbell does? I don't think so. I don't think Jim Harbaugh in Los Angeles quite projects that. Does he want to run the ball? Absolutely. But I don't think this idea of biting kneecaps is something he projects. And I fear that so many of you listening and so many of you out there, that is the only way. Biting kneecaps, because it worked 4 years ago in Detroit, so that's what we need here. And I think that ultimately, when it comes to leadership, leadership can take on many forms as long as there is a standard and accountability.
The stability of franchises like the Steelers, the stability of a franchise for many years like the Patriots, the identity of those teams, yes, as sexy as the offenses were at times, but it was run the ball and play great defense. That is how those franchises for so many years became stable. And then you completely flip the script to the Chiefs, and their identity for many years with Patrick Mahomes at the helm was offense. Now they've shifted a little bit and become more of a defensive team, and their defensive prowess is well noted. But it's one thing to just say, well, this is how it works. This is the only way it works. In college football, for instance, Georgia, everyone thought was going to win 5 national championships in a row, right? And how does Georgia build a team? Through high school players recruiting and not really through the transfer portal. If Ohio State wins the national championship, and God forbid, because you know I hate them, but if they do, how did Ohio State get there? By spending a ton of money this offseason with Mike Vrabel telling everyone how expensive it was going to be for them to form this team that they're about to, again, potentially win a national championship.
Day, not Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, Ryan Day, thank you. Vrabel's on my mind because we just talked to Mike Sando. But Ryan Day telling his boosters how much money he needs and going into the transfer portal and getting those elite transfer portal guys. And now people are going to shift it, again, if the Buckeyes win, and they're going to say that's how to do it. All right, let's talk to someone who does know how to build a championship-winning team, Leon Searcy.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Service by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
Leon, the conversation has been so intense on the Jags this week and for obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. It feels like we've barely touched on the fact that we have a college football playoff semifinal tonight.
We do, absolutely. The Final Four, we got one game tonight, another game tomorrow. It just so happened that 3 of the teams that are in the playoffs right now, they're on my hierarchy of hate. Penn State,
well,
Ohio.
kind of like I have a couple of them on my fraud alert list that apparently one listener was not too happy that I have a fraud alert list.
Well, 1, 2, and 3. Notre Dame sits at the top of my hierarchy of hate, and then there's Ohio State and Penn State.
Yep, and Texas is more so than Ohio State for me on the fraudulent list.
Okay, all right.
So are you actively cheering for Texas?
No, I don't like Texas either. So I mean. I'm kind of middle boy. I just want to see good football.
Yeah, which I think tonight's game, watch it change, but I think tonight's game is going to be really good. What's key to me, Leon, for tonight, Penn State, one of their best players, suffered an injury, and Abdul Carter with the shoulder injury. And then on the flip side, you've got Notre Dame, one of its best players, Jeremiah Love, the running back, also coming into the game with a bit of an injury. Those two players, it seems like whichever one of those makes more of an impact, it could be that team wins.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think Riley Leonard, if you saw that game against Georgia, I mean, he extended plays with his legs. I mean, that's what you got to be concerned with. It was the situations where it was 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 8, and he would scramble, or they would run a quarterback draw, whatever it may be, and he would get that first down. I think you got to leave a spy for him in some capacity because he can beat you with his legs.
Yeah, certainly. That could be another key to the game. And I talked to a Notre Dame fan this morning from Terminex, and he said that if Penn State can get to Notre Dame's secondary, if they can expose the corners for Notre Dame, then Penn State wins all day.
Yeah, and another thing that was alarming to me when I was watching that game against Notre Dame and Georgia is Notre Dame was just as fast as Georgia. That was scary, especially on defense.
Well, to Lauren's point, maybe this is the byproduct of the NIL era.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the byproduct of the evening of the playing field that our friend, your co-host Matt Hayes, has been talking about for years now.
Yeah, because I used to call Georgia's defense the boogeyman because they used to suffocate you. They had speed on side and they could penetrate and all that kind of stuff. What I saw, I know the Dame team defensively, they seemed smaller, but they got after you. I said, wait a minute. Are they just as fast as Georgia? You're right. The NIL money balances out the playing field.
And so does that transfer portal.
It does.
All right, Leon, what's coming up?
Well, we're going to talk Jags. We're going to talk about Trevor and his presser. Then we're going to talk about the college football playoffs. Matt Hayes is actually in Fort Lauderdale now for the game. So we're going to get his expertise.
Love it.
Of what's going on down there.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Leon. We'll be listening.
And thank you for talking college ball with us because we didn't get a chance to the entire 2 hours despite the big game tonight.
It is a big game.
It is. And so certainly we'll be thinking of Taylor Dahl watching that Notre Dame Fighting Irish going up against the Penn State Nittany Lions. For Mia O'Brien, for the vacationing Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. XL Prime Time is